Look closely at your workflow today. Invisible algorithms are curating your schedule, sorting data, and drafting replies before you've had your first coffee. The World Economic Forum and Goldman Sachs project a massive shift, estimating that 300 million full-time jobs are exposed to generative AI automation. The tasks being handed off fall under routine cognitive labor. These are the predictable, formulaic actions, like basic coding or data entry, that our educational system specifically trained us to execute. This graph shows a steep upward trajectory of workplace productivity, intersecting with a plunging line for human engagement. Despite achieving peak operational efficiency, 57% of Americans now report feeling lonely, and global employee engagement sits at a dismal 21%. The same optimization engines that remove friction from our apps also remove the silences and small inefficiencies where human connection used to thrive. If machines can perfectly emulate an efficient knowledge worker, the clearest path to figuring out what humans are meant to do is to subtract every automatable task from the equation. Subtracting the routine reveals where actual growth remains, the empathy economy. This sector requires deep humanistic problem-solving and relies on a specific skill called emotional granularity, the ability to identify and differentiate complex feelings. The first irreplaceable capability we have left is the physical process of navigating internal emotional states. A machine processes external datasets. Human beings process internal, subjective experiences. This animated pie chart shows a basic four-emotion crayon box fracturing into highly specific categories. Lisa Feldman Barrett proved this precise vocabulary physically alters how the brain manages internal states, mapping directly to resilience, 30% more flexibility, less stress, and faster recovery from setbacks. At the executive level, this translates directly to capability. Research shows high emotional intelligence accounts for nearly 90% of the difference between average managers and star performers. This literacy serves as a biological operating system for resilience, providing the precision required to handle high-stakes, unpredictable work. The algorithmic approach to social interaction is conformity, or fitting in. But social scientist Brené Brown's research proves that altering yourself to match the expectations of a room actively destroys genuine belonging. The pull towards sameness is intense. The classic Solomon Asch conformity experiments showed that 33% of people will agree with a majority group, even when the majority is obviously wrong. This diagram shows a hierarchy of team performance variables, revealing psychological safety as the foundational predictor. Google's Project Aristotle found that a team's shared belief that interpersonal risk-taking is safe beats structure, meaning, and even raw individual talent. Creating that safety relies on a specific leadership mechanic. It requires going first, failing out loud, and admitting a lack of knowledge to build actual credibility. Optimizing behavior for pure conformity guarantees you will be easily replaced. Bringing the friction of your authentic self is what builds an irreplaceable team dynamic. Trust sustains vulnerability over time. It is a capacity built on daily repetition, rather than grand or instantaneous gestures. This bar comparison visualizes response rates to microbids, small daily attempts at connection. John Gottman's clinical research shows stable couples respond to these microbids 86% of the time, while couples who divorce respond only 33% of the time. That same dynamic dictates workplace survival. According to Charles Feltman, corporate trust degrades through the slow accumulation of small unreliabilities and missed commitments, not massive betrayals. Highly profitable corporations like Costco and Patagonia sustain their growth by honoring small, boring, daily commitments to their workforce, rather than relying on massive, disruptive overhauls. The daily repetition of care is the ultimate unscalable asset. Frequency and consistency will always beat the magnitude of a single automated action. Emotional granularity, belonging, and trust all stem from the same humanistic foundation. The empathy required to read a Toni Morrison novel closely is the exact same skill needed to navigate a complex workplace. This is why the founders and tech leaders who built major platforms intentionally leveraged liberal arts degrees. They used humanistic thinking to bring vital context and ethics to raw code. Reading a novel, admitting a mistake in a boardroom, and answering a microbid from your partner all rely on the exact same psychological muscle. They all require the uninterrupted capacity to be present to another consciousness, existing as a whole human being over time. Do not try to outcompute the machines. The only way to survive the coming automation and to become truly irreplaceable is to embrace your irreducibly human friction.